Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our webinar on New Lessons and Tools Achieving Financial Independence. Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Michael Roush, and I'm the Director of the Real Economic Impact Network at National Disability Institute. Before we get started, I would like to go over some housekeeping tips before we get started. The audio for today's webinar is being broadcast through your computer. Please make sure your speakers are turned on or your headphones are plugged in. You can control the audio broadcast via the audio broadcast panel. If you accidentally close the panel, you can reopen by going to the Communicate menu at the top of the screen and choosing Join Audio Broadcast. If you do not have sound capabilities on your computer or prefer to listen by phone, you can dial 1-650-479-3207 and enter the meeting code 662-065-361. Please note you do not need to enter an attendee ID. Real-time captioning is provided during this webinar. The captions can be found in the Media Viewer panel, which appears in the lower right corner of the webinar platform. If you do not see the captions, you may need to open the Media Viewer panel by selecting the Media Viewer button in the upper right corner of the webinar platform. If you want to make the Media Viewer panel larger, you can minimize other panels like Chat, Q&A, and/or Participants. Submitting questions. For Q&A, please use the chat box or Q&A box to send any questions you have during the webinar to Michael Roush or NDI admin, and we will direct the questions accordingly during the Q&A portion. If you're listening by phone and not logged in to the webinar, you may also ask questions by emailing those questions to me at mroush@ndi-inc.org. Please note, this webinar is being recorded and the materials will be placed on the National Disability Institute website at www.nationaldisabilityinstitute.org. If you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, please use the chat box to send a message to the host, NDI admin, or you may also email Maggie at mredden@ndi-inc.org. Great. For those of you who are joining us who are new to the National Disability Institute, I'd like to share a little bit with you about our organization. At the National Disability Institute, we envision a society in which people with disabilities have the same opportunities to achieve financial stability and independence as people without disabilities. Our mission at the National Disability Institute is we collaborate and innovate to build a better financial future for people with disabilities and their families. To learn more about the National Disability Institute, please go to www.nationaldisabilityinstitute.org. If you're not already a part of NDI's Real Economic Impact Network, we hope that you will join us. It's free to join. NDI's Real Economic Impact Network is an alliance of organizations and individuals dedicated to achieving the economic empowerment of people with disabilities. The Real Economic Impact Network consists of over 4,500 members located throughout the United States. It includes nonprofits, community tax coalitions, asset development organizations, financial education initiatives, corporations and private sector businesses, government agencies, and individuals and families with disabilities. All partners of the Real Economic Impact Network are joining forces to embrace, promote, and pursue access to and inclusion of people with disabilities in the economic mainstream. To learn more about the Real Economic Impact Network, please go to our website at www.nationaldisabilityinstitute.org. So we're excited to bring you today's webinar to share information with you on some new lessons that have been created in partnership with Bank of America, Special Olympics International, as well as the National Disability Institute. So for today's agenda, we will provide an overview of better money habits. We'll review the Achieving Financial Independence lessons, share an overview of the Better Money Habits Education Resource Center, and identify opportunities on how to incorporate these resources into service delivery. I'm excited that today we have Win Lam, who is joining us and is our guest presenter. Win is the ESG Program Manager at Bank of America. Win manages a portfolio of charitable investments that help people manage their financial lives and achieve economic mobility. Win's job is more than awarding checks. He works closely with nonprofits to ensure success in delivering resources to give people of all ages a better life. He also connects Bank of America's financial habits resources to volunteers and nonprofits. Win is based in San Francisco, where he was born and raised, and he graduated from St. Mary's College of California with an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree in business administration. Win has been a longtime advocate for persons with disabilities and their families to help them build a better financial future, and a longtime friend of the National Disability Institute. So with that, please join me in welcoming Win Lam to share information with us on better money habits. Win?
Thank you, Michael. Happy New Year to everyone here. Thank you for being part of this webinar and for inviting me to join you to share tools that we have at Bank of America that we believe will help ourselves, help our clients, and help our communities at large. When I was invited by Michael and the National Disability Institute team to present today, I was excited to do so because of the work and the valued partnership that we have with the National Disability Institute. However, we also know in the news that the government has shut down and said, oh, how is that going to affect all of the work that we are doing, and how will this webinar be impacted by that? But no, it has not been impacted by that. The government may be shut down, but the work that you are doing is not. So thank you for being part of this today. Again, Happy New Year to all of you. At Bank of America, we are letting people know that they have the power to achieve their goals. They have visions. We all have visions. We all have dreams. We all have aspirations on what life would be for us and for our families and loved ones. And the purpose of Bank of America is to help people manage their financial lives to achieve financial wellness. And we want to do that through the power of every connection. As Michael mentioned, I'm a member of the ESG team at Bank of America. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance. We are, as a company, we are responsible for helping to strengthen and sustain our environment, the environment that we are all in. We are also responsible for supporting and giving back to society. That's a big piece of what we do and our focus. And we want to do all of this, take all of our actions responsibly. And so therefore, governance is a big focus for us. So ESG for us. And within ESG, I'm a part of the Bank of America Charitable Foundation, where we have the partnerships. We cannot do this alone. ESG does not happen alone. We can't do it as a company. We need to connect with others and others to help us do that. And that's why the partnerships that we have with nonprofits and other groups in our communities are so important to us. The partnership we have with the National Disability Institute, with Special Olympics and others are all a big deal for us. The headlines today. You know many of these headlines. 1 in 3 have a financial crisis, or one away from a financial crisis where they fall into poverty. Half of Americans are in poverty and are living paycheck to paycheck. 2/3 of us who will climb out of poverty will fall back in. And we're all stressed out very soon. Why are we stressed out? Tax filing season's coming. January 28th is the start of tax filing season for us. We're going to be stressed because we need to help understand, do we owe taxes and have to pay for it? Or are we going to get a refund, and how do we spend that refund? We've just come off of probably the most stressful financial times during the holidays, from Halloween through New Year's, where many of us are faced with spending decisions. What kind of gifts do we buy? What can we afford? Who do we have to give to? It's the most stressful time of year for us. But for others, and including many of the people that you work with, the most stressful times are coming up. If there's a tax filing and they get a refund, what do they do with that refund? And unfortunately, many of us already have that spent without thinking about our futures. So we wait until the first day of tax refund season. That is our holiday. And so how do we help people plan and have better money habits for the work that they do? During the economic crisis of 2008, we were exposed as Americans in that we know we had to save, but we did not. We know we had to pay off our debt, but we kept accumulating debt. Personal savings rate in the United States was in the single digits. So we understood why we have to save. We just did not do it. So 5 years ago, we partnered with the Khan Academy to create better money habits. And at Bank of America, with Better Money Habits, we want to focus on habits. We want to focus on financial behavior and help people take the knowledge that they have and apply it to help themselves achieve their financial goals. BetterMoneyHabits.com was born in partnership with the Khan Academy, and the reason we partnered with the Khan Academy, some of you may know that the Khan Academy has a number of resources available on their website, and the philosophy of the Khan Academy just resonated with us. One, let's ensure that the topics that are available are relevant. Two, that they are easily to accessible and they are free. And three, that they are short and easy to understand. So we enjoy that philosophy that the Khan Academy came up with and ensure that we use that with Better Money Habits. BetterMoneyHabits.com is not an app. What BetterMoneyHabits.com is, it is a mobile-friendly site so that when you do get on BetterMoneyHabits.com, it will, whatever devices, whether you use a smartphone, a tablet, or your computer, it is formatted for those devices. You can also download that and have the site that on your homepage of your devices so that you can easily get to them. We have today 400 pieces of content, and we continue to add to that. But in the content, what we wanted to do was focus on financial habits. You will see on the homepage the topics that come up, and across the screen there are 10 topics. 5 of them are shown on the screen today. Not a surprise that these are not in alphabetical order, but in order of interest. So since for the past 5 years, our visitors to this site are interested in knowing more about credit, knowing more about debt management, and then they follow up with savings. So the first 2 topics, credit and debt, are the most visited site links on our site. Not a surprise again, because people who have financial problems, who want to know how to rebuild credit or get rid of debt, those are usually the reasons why they would go onto a site like Better Money Habits to get more information to help themselves. And that's the first 5. The next 5 topics that we have on Better Money Habits, it goes from retirement all the way to taxes and income. And and below each topic, we have subtopics to help you narrow down to what you are looking for. So whether you have a financial goal, a financial challenge, or is looking for somebody else, trying to get information to help your children, to help other students, to help other friends and family and clients, this is where you would find the information and click on those to find resources to help you. If you don't want to just do a search, what you can do in the middle of the homepage, we have personalized content that we can recommend for you. We have 3 easy questions for you to answer in the middle of the BetterMoneyHabits.com homepage. The first is, what stage of life are you in? The second is your employment situation. And the third is, what is important to you right now? And by answering those questions, you will then, pops up resources inside BetterMoneyHabits.com that can help you achieve your financial goals or resolve your financial challenges. So this was a self-service, online, virtual resource available. We created 5 years ago. And sometime in between that, we've had requests from the visitors, from our nonprofit partners, that they've asked us, can you create better money habit lessons from the content so that we can deliver it to our clients, to our friends, and to our families, to students especially because they're starting their financial journey. So 3 years ago, we started looking at creating toolkits to help. And the toolkits that we have today, one is on economic mobility, is how to help people achieve economic mobility. How do we help people get on their journey to financial wellness, have the opportunities to gain more income to help them with their lifestyle. So economic mobility is one set of tools that we have. The second are tools for students. How do we help high school students and college students prepare for their financial journey and create good financial habits? We have a toolkit for military. Military members who are transitioning to civilian life and military members who are staying in the military may not understand all the benefits that they have. And unfortunately for the young military service members who are going back to civilian life, they probably have not had to manage finances as they will be when they're back as civilians. One lesson that we've learned is that a military paycheck has no deductions. So that when you go back into civilian life and you get your first paycheck, what are those? Why are there so many deductions? Why is my net pay so different from my gross income? So we incorporate all that into the lessons for the military. The fourth toolkit that we have is, we call it the Financial Independence, Achieving Financial Independence Toolkit. This was done in cooperation with the National Disability Institute and Special Olympics, two of our valued partners. And they help. And we also have value partners for the other toolkits. If you are on the screen, you'll see logos of our partners. The partners were instrumental in helping us create the lessons by letting us know who their audiences are, who their clients are, how do they learn, and how should the lessons be presented. So in getting all of that information, we were able to create these toolkits and these lessons that are available. Achieving financial independence, what you'll see in that lesson is that you're going to start out, we have an assessment checklist that you can get your hands on. And I'll talk about what does your audience want. Again, let's make these lessons relevant to the audience and their needs. So there's a checklist for that. There's a caregiver guide, and many persons with disabilities may have caregivers, and if they do, we like the caregiver to understand what has been taught and summarize those lessons for them as they help to assist the person with the disability. We have financial safety tip worksheet and resource tips because financial safety, unfortunately, is a big deal at this time. Scams, schemes, identity theft, many of us fall victims of that. How do we prevent that, and how do we resolve if we are a victim? And then we have a training guide to help presenters present the information to their audiences. So the Achieving Financial Independence Toolkit has all of this preparation work before you even get to the lessons themselves. An example of the preparation that we have for the presenters, then in thanks to National Disability Institute and thanks to Michael Roche, get to know your audience first. Let's get comfortable with the audience that you'll be presenting to. What would they want to know? What are the characteristics of the audience? So to get our presenters, to get any presenter comfortable and confident that they are able to present the lessons to the audience, we let them know who the audience will be, what they can anticipate. We also have tips for how to work with individuals with disabilities, what to ask, how do you treat the audience with all of this. So that's important to all of us. And if you see tip number 3 on the bullet, relax, don't be embarrassed if you are using language that is not appropriate, but this is something or that you would be embarrassed by. Just what we've learned from National Disability Institute is that our intentions are all right. We just need to understand and be more aware of how we communicate with people with disabilities. And so just relax and just be comfortable in doing so. So this is one that our Bank of America volunteers value this tip sheet to help prepare themselves to present the Better Money Habit lessons. People first language, something that we have had for a long time since our relationship with National Disability Institute started during their founding over 10 years ago. That we have had this people first language tip sheet that we have given to our volunteers and to members of my colleagues and teammates at Bank of America. And this is something that we constantly updated by NDI, and we appreciate that because this helps us to understand not just the people we want to help, but it also works for our customers and everyone else. So we just want to be able to be mindful of my teammates here, some with disabilities, how we should be treating them as we treat others. The lessons themselves, under the Achieving Financial Independence, there are 6 lessons. We break them into two sections, one called First Steps, and the next one, the Next Steps. With that, the First Step lessons are for the audience that we anticipate that will need these lessons are the ones with limited experience with money and finances. They may not have any experience with money. They may have money and don't know how to spend it and would like to start creating habits for themselves. So we have 3 lessons in this First Steps. One is on spending and savings. Why is money important? Needs and wants. How to spend, how to save, and tips on saving. Then we go into spending and savings while traveling. This is important for many who are, when you're traveling outside of home, you may have money to spend. Let's not just spend it on what we think we want, but we also have to remind each other that there are fixed spendings that we have. We have to pay for a hotel room. We have to pay for transportation. You want to make sure that we have funds set aside for that before we go out and buy souvenirs and buy others. And let's be careful about the meals that we have while we're traveling. How can we budget for those as well? And then we have a checklist. If you are able to go on vacation, here's a checklist on what you should be thinking about with your finances. The third lesson in the First Steps is money and identity safety. Important to know. Unfortunately, we all fall victim to that, whether it's identity theft, scams, and schemes. We all fall victim to it. How can we prevent that, and how can we resolve those if we are a victim of that? The Next Steps lessons are for those who would like more tips, more financial habits, because they have one or two, and they are transitioning to financial independence. So they may be living on their own soon, and we like to make sure they're prepared to do so. So on the Next Steps, we go through the same lesson, spending and savings, but we add a little bit more to it. So we add understanding income, how to make a spending plan. And by the way, many of you already know this, but a spending plan is just another name for budget. And the reason that we are now using the language spending plan is because we all understand how to spend. So if we're going to save, let's spend on ourselves. That's how we save. We want to save $10 a week. Spend $10 a week on yourself. So that seems to resonate more with the audience. So we are calling it a spending plan, but it is used to be called a budgeting plan. Money and banking basics. This is an introduction of the bank account and the different instruments that are available for us to help save our money, to help with checking accounts and help to pay, different ways of how we can use different payment methods to spend. What is credit? Credit is introduced in this lesson. So this is under the Next Steps. And then the third lesson under here is, again, more on financial safety. Different types of scams, different types of ways that unfortunately being online as much as we are today, and the new technology, social media, that we have to prevent ourselves from being identified with the personal information that we have. So let's not ensure that we don't have Social Security numbers or other identifying information that's online that we inadvertently place on there while communicating and we're using technology. So let's be alert. And then again, how do we resolve those if we become a victim of scams and schemes? So these lessons, they do not have to be given in any order. The best way to give them is to understand the audience and what they would like to get, and you can mix and match. Each one of these lessons take about 30, 35 minutes to present. They're interactive. They have videos that are associated with that, so you can get Better Money Habit videos that you can show with these lessons. This is all one under the supervision of Michael Roche and the National Disability Institute. We now have lessons available to persons with disabilities, and we are grateful for having those lessons. Audience handouts. We want this to be interactive. This is not a set of lectures that our presenters, as any presenter would give. There's also spending worksheets that we like for people to complete, that we will walk through with the audience on how to complete this. We have a travel worksheet, travel spending worksheet, so that if you're on travel, on vacation, this is a budget to help you with getting through financially your travels. And then we have advanced worksheets for the next step, folks, where they may be thinking about a financial goal. They may have something that they like to save up for. So how do we help them budget for that? So those worksheets are available to them as part of the lesson. Each of the lessons that we have, not just in the Achieving Financial Independence toolkit, but all of the toolkits that we mentioned, the lessons are scripted. So the presenters have speaker notes, they have background notes, and they have the slides that they can use, that all of you can use to present these lessons. You can customize the speaker notes to the language that you're familiar with, to the audience that you know, but you can edit and change that any way you like, but we do have the script for you for these lessons. You can find all of these lessons in bettermoneyhabits.com under the Education Resource Center. This center was created back in November, a couple months ago. We created this center, and we have put all of our resources available to nonprofits and to presenters on this site. So when you go on to the Better Money Habits homepage, on the bottom of there's the Education Resource Center. Or another way, and I'll show you another address where you can directly get yourself into this center. But all of the lessons are there from the toolkit. You can download those along with the accompanying videos and the script and everything else are available to you on this at the Education Resource Center. You're going to find also that what we have in those is there are other modules that you can use. So it's not only just the 4 toolkits that we have, but there are modules to help with savings, to help controlling finances, credit, home ownership if you're ready for that. And these modules were specifically created for client managers when you're working with your client and you like to help them understand credit, understand how to save, understand how to control their finances and create financial habits. There's pre-work, there's lessons that you can deliver when you're meeting with your client, and then there's post-work or homework that you can give your client saying, yes, we thank you for talking about savings. Here's something we'd like for you to look at. And the homework usually consists of a video or a reading from Better Money Habits. And those things are bite-sized pieces. They're not long, easy to comprehend, easy to get through on bettermoneyhabits.com. The audience, again, for the partner site or this Education Resource Center are nonprofits. You do not have to be a partner of Bank of America. You do not have to be a grantee. It's available. It's a public site available to all. We just want to ensure that nonprofits that are looking for financial habits information to help their clients, to help themselves, this is available on Better Money Habits at the Education Resource Center. And we also have our own Better Money Habit champions and Bank of America financial education volunteers. They have access to this site as well. I'll talk a little bit more about them and how they can help you with this work. The content I mentioned, the 4 modules outside of the toolkit are all here. They're listed. They're all in different colors, so it'll be easy to identify when you get onto the site. All of the information is downloadable. So you can take any of the information from the Education Resource Center, download it, save it on your own computer, and you can use it at any time for yourself and for your clients. We have content for high school students and college students coming in a month. So those toolkits are not ready yet, but they're being created, and they will be ready in a month and placed on the Education Resource Center. The Economic Mobility Toolkit is being translate into Spanish, and they'll be available in a month. How do you access this site? Again, you can go to the bottom of the BetterMoneyHabits.com page and just click on the Education Resource Center, or you can type in BetterMoneyHabits.com/community and get to the Resource Center directly. At Bank of America, we have Better Money Habit Champions. These are volunteers, my teammates, dedicated to helping deliver better money habits in our communities. We do this. We have 2,300 volunteers available across the Bank of America footprint that can help with this. The objective for us is not to promote Bank of America's products and services. We are specifically prohibited from promoting Bank of America products and services. That will take away from the credibility of the Better Money Habit lesson. So we do not promote our products and services. We do promote financial habits, and we do it in a couple of ways. One, we can work with you and with other nonprofits by coming in to give you a presentation on what the benefits of Better Money Habits, as we are doing today. Two, we can work with you to incorporate Better Money Habits into existing lessons that you have with your clients. So if you already have a program you're using with your clients but would like to look for different Better Money Habit resources to reinforce the lesson that you're giving to your clients, to reinforce the messages that you're giving to your clients, we feel Better Money Habits has resources for you to do so. And the third role of Better Money Habit Champions is to deliver those lessons in co-presenting them with you or presenting them on our own with your audience and with your organization. We have experts in all of our Better Money Habit Champions because they can use the toolkits and present those lessons to you. They not only can present achieving financial independence lessons, but they can also use, if you find interest in the other lessons as you go through the Education Resource Center, you like economic mobility, you may like the military lessons because you have clients that are military members or veterans that would need to know about their benefits. Our champions can help present that to you. What we would like to do is that if you have any interest in getting a champion to come out and present Better Money Habits overview to you or present the lessons, please contact us at bmhchampions@bankofamerica.com, and I will offer up Michael Rosh and the NDI team. If you contact them, they can get a hold of us, and we can try and connect you with our champions. We are not all over the country. We are all over the Bank of America footprint, and while some think that Bank of America is all over the country, our retail presence is in about 40 states. But wherever we have a champion, we'd be happy to do that. We also can host webinars and present the lessons via webinar to you and your clients. So let us know if we can do that for you. But I would love to, one, thank you for your attention on this. Thank you for helping people manage their financial lives. Thank you for helping people achieve financial wellness. And we can do it better if we're all connected together. So Michael Rosh and Maggie and others at the National Disability Institute, thank you for your time today. And I'm happy to stay on and follow up with any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you, Wen, and thank you for sharing this information on Better Money Habits and the new lessons of achieving financial independence. We have received several questions, so we'll go into Q&A in just a moment. But what I would like to do is just to share some additional info. So you may be, in addition to the ways that Wen had talked about on ways to incorporate these new lessons, resources, and tools, or other pieces of Better Money Habits, we wanted to share with you some additional opportunities. So first of all, you can easily incorporate the Achieving Financial Lessons, Independence lessons as part of the job clubs, self-advocate leadership trainings, and employment programs. As Wen had mentioned as you talked about the different resources that come with this toolkit, one of those was the Partner Assessment Checklist. So you can download that checklist, and it will help you. It asks you different questions about who the audience is, and it will help you determine which lesson or which level lessons you should provide. So it's a two-page assessment that you can complete. You can complete it with a champion, a better money habits champion if one's in your area. But that's a great assessment for you to use to be able to identify the lessons to start with. Also, incorporate the activities and handouts into your financial coaching, financial education, and/or your employment programs. Wen had shared the spending worksheets, and I know it's hard to see on the screen, but one of the things that we had worked together on was to create these spending worksheets that also had images for each line item on a spending plan. So looking at groceries, so then there was an image of groceries, not cartoons, but just an image. That individuals could look at, or looking at housing. There was a picture of a house. So one of the things that we had found through our work at the National Disability Institute over the years is when we talk about creating a spending plan, sometimes individuals would share or may not be able to read or fully understand what the words were. And so that's why we created the spending worksheets, or Bank of America and us created these spending worksheets that had the word but also had an image. So please check those out and incorporate them because we really believe that having these types of worksheets can help individuals create a spending plan even if they might have a low reading level. The other thing is that Better Money Habits has a variety of videos, and with the Achieving Financial Independence lessons, new videos were created or updated specifically for these lessons. So if you have a waiting area or in a lobby to stream these Better Money Habit videos on your screen, the Better Money, these new videos talk about the envelope method. They talk about savings. They talk about creating a shopping list. So they really are some great videos that allow an individual to get some additional information. The other recommendation is to place shortcuts of the videos and key lessons on computers in the resource room. And the final thing that we wanted to share is really encourage you to connect with Bank of America champions in your local communities to support the delivery of Better Money Habits lessons, including the Achieving Financial Independence lessons. One of the things that we found early on in our work, about probably 9 years ago in a pilot group that we did in Jacksonville, Florida, we were providing financial education to a group of transition students. And I share this story quite often. So if you've been in any of my trainings or other webinars, you've heard this story before. But we, as we were providing the financial education, we decided to also bring in a personal banker from a financial institution. And that personal banker happened to be close to the students, transition students' age. And what we found is that the individuals benefited from having the personal banker there to ask additional questions, and it also took away some of the fear of the idea of banking because they met someone. They got to hear from a banker. What's interesting is after all of these years, I still see some of those individuals at various conferences and events. They're now into adulthood, and they still remember that personal banker's name. And again, this has been about 8 or 10 years ago. So again, there's power in being able to connect with the bank volunteers to be able to assist in providing the financial education information. So the other thing we wanted to share is if you have additional questions or questions on how to incorporate the lessons, resources, and tools as you go back and look at this further, please contact us at ask@ndi inc.org. And one of the things is we would be happy to have one of our technical assistance team members, myself or another member, talk to you and brainstorm additional ways on how you can incorporate the resources into your delivery of service. So with that, we're going to go into the Q&A portion. We have several questions that have come in. If you have additional questions, please type them in the chat box in the Q&A box, and we will be sure to get through as many questions as we can. So the first question that came up, and Wynn will direct this to you, is what do we do if there is not a Bank of America champion in our area?
Thank you, Michael. And then what we would suggest is that we would be happy to host a webinar and present the information to you via webinar or phone conference call or some other way of doing that, but we would do it virtually.
Okay, great. I'm scrolling through here. Great. The next question that came in, are we able to order hard copies of the materials?
That's a good question. The reason we made it easy with the Education Resource Center is because many of our nonprofits didn't want the hard copy. They wanted to be able to download it. If you would like a hard copy of the materials, we would be happy to send it to you. Michael, if you can help us with taking the orders, we'd be happy to send it and send it out to the folks that need hard copies. On this webinar, we will make that available to anyone who wants hard copies.
All right, great. And I'm just putting in again in the chat box the email address that you will need to send that to. All right, great. So the next question is, have the new lessons been tested with audiences?
And Michael, you can answer that question because you help us test the new lessons, especially with the audiences. And I'm sure you're the credible voice for this audience, much more so than me, and would love your viewpoint on how this was received by the audiences that we have presented this to.
Sure, great. So yeah, I can take this one, no problem. So these lessons were tested. I was fortunate enough to be able to work with the Bank of America champions to train them on the lessons. Well, let me back up. So the creation of these lessons were really a collaboration with the Special Olympics team, National Disability Institute, Bank of America, and other partners who helped develop the content and ask questions. So once the initial lessons were developed, they were tested in 4 different areas across the country with where Bank of America Better Money Habit Champions delivered the lessons to individuals with an intellectual and or developmental disability, as well as family members. And so during that time, as they were being delivered, we spent a great deal of time listening to the feedback from the audience members, to watch the reaction to the content as I was sitting back in the back of the room for those sessions, and really documenting the different things that we had heard. And then we came back, and the entire team tweaked the lessons, made those changes, looked at the additional things that needed to be created, and then Bank of America took that information, and the lessons were updated. And also a pre and post tests were done as well. And so so each of the lessons before they were rolled out were tested with a variety of audiences in different geographic areas across the country. So that was a great question, and thank you for asking.
No, thank you, Michael, for doing that. And so we put Michael and NDI team to work. it was not, these lessons were not just created and let's roll them out. Let's make sure we ensure that the audience understood what was going on. We did make significant changes to not just to the content of the lessons, but also to how the lessons are to be delivered. And so the presenter guide has been revised based on the pilot lessons that we had. And also at Bank of America, we have a group of employees, valued employees, who are part of our support services team. Our support services team are folks that do printing for us and they do fulfillment for us. All of our employees and associates there are people with intellectual disabilities. So they've asked for these lessons, and we've tested it with them under Michael's supervision, and we've received good feedback from a group of employed persons with disabilities and how they would want those lessons to be taught to them and what they understood from them. So thank you again.
Great. So the next question is, does Better Money Habits have lessons for families on how to teach their children about allowances?
Yes, and that is becoming a very popular section of Better Money Habits. So in the Better Money Habits homepage, you're going to find, I think there's family and children or how to help, and we break up the lessons into what we call lower school, middle school, high school students so that parents can help at different grade ranges, help them understand the different financial habits and the different financial topics. So, and that's becoming more and more popular. We also have under that section, under family and children, how to finance college. So if you have a student that is getting ready to graduate from high school, thinking about post-secondary, how do you finance for that? A huge popular section on what to do to help look for finances for high school and how you can help your graduate budget for first year of college. I know I have a daughter who is a junior in college now, and she still needs budgeting lessons. She's not a great Better Money Habit practitioner, but we're getting there slowly, getting her there to that point. And unfortunately, if you're a student with student loans and you graduate from college and you have debt that you have already started to want to help manage, we have a section on how to manage student loans and the different options that you have. So yes, it's a very popular section for us at BetterMoneyHabits.com. It's family and children.
Great. Thank you, Wynn. So the next question is, my son lives in a group home. If staff have questions as they use these materials, is there someone who can provide direction or provide answers?
Yes, just let us know. Let us know what the questions are, or if you need tips, as Michael has just offered, also in incorporating achieving financial independence into your work. Between Michael and our experts at Bank of America, we'll be happy to answer those questions and help you with the presentation. So thank you.
And when they could use the Better Money Habits email that you gave also, right?
Yes.
The BMH
yes.
Champions. Okay, great. And everybody, you also have the ask at NDI-inc.org email.
And Michael, well. I'd like to let our audience know, ladies and gentlemen, not just if you have questions, if you have suggestions on how we can improve content, add more content, help with presentation, help with delivery, use those email addresses, and we welcome all of your suggestions. That's how we improve on all of the toolkits that we have. So please, don't be shy.
Great. Then the next question is what do you recommend for people who struggle keeping track of spending and struggle writing in a check register? What's the best apps? When do you want to take a first stab at that, and then we have some resources on that as well?
Well, I'm sure your resources are probably all good, and because you keep on top of this with the industry. You know, if you're a Bank of America customer, we do have apps that are available to help with budgeting, but there are other generic apps or more third-party apps that can help with that as well. I'm sure Mint.com and others can help with doing that. But one thing that we stress in whatever app you use is that we want you to get into the habit of recognizing your spending. And we call it spending. You can recognize if you're saving, that's great, but saving again is spending on yourself. So recognize everything that you spend on, recognize the resources that you have to spend. And by the way, a credit card is a resource, but it's not a resource for endless spending. So we want to ensure that the habits are there on how to responsibly use credit, how to responsibly spend. Needs and wants are, I think that's the first step. And as Michael taught me many years ago, is that if you don't know the difference between a need and a want, you'll be spending on everything. Everything then becomes a need for you. So those are yes, there are apps out there that can help with this, but the messages that we have in bettermoneyapps.com is get into the habit of understanding your resources, understanding what you're spending on, and whether you write it down or not, I want to be able to ask, and we do ask in presentations, what did you do with your last $10? What did you spend on yesterday? What did you do for the week? Just to be sure that you are aware of your spending habits and how you can help correct them. Michael, what are the other apps available?
Yeah, so there are a variety of apps, and on our website, I think it's it's being redone, but we have a handout on the best, our top, suggested mobile apps. But I personally, and as a financial educator, as a financial counselor, I'm a bit old-fashioned, and I share that with the individuals that I support as well, and still use the envelope method. I also use the app, the Envelopes app. But if you go to the new lessons and you download the Achieving Financial Independence lessons, in there, a couple of the activities are on helping individuals keeping track of spending. There's a spending handout where individuals can keep track of their spending on this handout each day. There's also in there, it talks about the envelope method. And so the envelope method is where we put our key expenses, our items on the envelope, and the amount that we budget each month for that that particular item on our spending plan. And then we keep that money in there, or we keep the receipts. If we're using a debit card, then you put the receipt in that envelope to keep track of staying within, that $100. Let's say you have $100 for groceries, then you'll put $100 on there and you'll use that to keep track. It is an old-fashioned way that some people say, but it's still impactful. And like I said, I know financial counselors besides myself and others who still use that. But these handouts are really simple and easy to do to help you manage your finances. So please be sure to check that out. There's also a video within the new lessons that goes into that in greater detail. So we're almost out of time, but I just want to share, we do have a question, and the person who asked this question, if you could please send me an email at ask@ndi-inc.org, we can share with you additional resources. This question says, I deal often with people who are living in facilities and have debts, and you've not been able to figure out how to help someone rebuild credit when their benefits are being used towards their stay. Are there resources for people in situations like this? It seems like it doesn't have an easy way out or even to begin to get out. So I don't see who sent that, but if the person who sent that could send me an email at ask@ndi-inc.org, and I can share with you additional resources and get a little bit more information before to address that. All right, and I put the email in the chat box again. So before we close out, we're coming up on one of my favorite times of the year, is tax preparation season. And tax filing season will open on January 28th this year. And we just want to make sure that folks are aware of a variety of resources and tools to be able to educate yourself, but also the individuals you serve on some of the resources available for free tax preparation season. So first of all, go to the National Disability Institute's website, and under Financial Wellness, you'll see a section that says Taxes and Tax Preparation. Please go to that section, and you'll see a variety of resources and tools. If you're not familiar with free tax preparation services, then that's a place to start. But also, if you want to identify a free tax preparation site in your area, these are volunteers who are trained by the Internal Revenue Service. You can go to irs.treasury.gov free tax prep and that's going to provide you with additional or how to find a free tax filing site in your area. Again, these volunteers are trained and have to take a test by the Internal Revenue Service. Another resource is EIT Central Partner Toolkit. This is a great resource to learn everything you need to know about the Earned Income Tax Credit. So please check that. And then also the Get It Back campaign at www.eitcoutreach.org. This website provides a variety of information and resources on EITC, the Earned Income Tax Credit, free tax preparation services. They also have downloadable promotional materials that you can access to share with the individuals you serve. If you have additional questions on how you can participate in the upcoming tax filing season, again, please send an email to ask@ndi-inc.org, and we would be happy to connect you with one of our technical assistants team members who can provide some additional information and guidance. I'd like to say thank you so much to Win Lum with Bank of America, and thank you to Bank of America for making a real economic impact in the lives of individuals with disabilities. And thank you for being a longtime supporter of the work that we do. I'd also like to say thank you to my colleague Maggie Redden and the communications team at the National Disability Institute, Kathy Brannigan and Kitty Achenbach as well, for all of the work that they do to help us put these webinars on, and of course to thank the National Disability Institute's training and technical assistance team who provides insight and guidance on the webinars that we put together. Please join us for our next webinar, which will be Wednesday, February 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern, as we talk about America Saves program and America Saves Week that will be coming up at the end of February. So with that, thank you all again for spending your afternoon with us. Happy New Year to you, and we look forward to connecting with you in 2019. With that, we'll go on and close out, and have a great day, everyone.